Welcome back to Breakfast Television on this Monday. Meredith, Tammie, Sid here with you. Good to see you. It's been 4 years since George Floyd's death. 4 years, and I had to kind of stop myself over the weekend when I saw that anniversary. 46-year-old George Floyd, 4 years ago, was killed while in brief police custody. Derek Chauvin, a white police officer, was filmed by many people kneeling on Floyd's neck and back for nearly 9 minutes, and it set off a movement and protests and a conversation that none of us will ever forget, nor should we ever forget. Floyd's family has renewed calls for American Congress to pass police reform laws in the U.S. Chauvin, for those who have forgotten, the cop involved, one of the cops involved, was convicted of murder and manslaughter and sentenced to more than 22 years in prison. Tammie, 4 years, wow.
It went by very quickly, considering the time that we had this in. This was in the heart of COVID when this started, and I really do think that the fact that we were all focused on news at the time helped this spread globally, and I'm forever thankful for that spread, that his life wasn't lost in complete vain, because really he was killed for absolutely no reason. The thing, though, 4 years later, is that, you know, the anniversary is forgotten almost. Not by his family and not by those who loved him, not by the protesters, but I think by just the general public. And this is an idea that I kind of had in my head even back then, that we are going to stand up for, it sparked such an anti-Black racism movement that you would hope would last longer than just a year or 2 years. And all of a sudden, things started to die down. We saw so much change initially, so much discussion initially right off the bat. And we're here now, and you really have to think about, like, what progress did we make in helping and making sure that there was awareness of anti-Black racism systemically in society, built in, and also helping give a leg up to those who are affected by it. We're still here, there has been change, but I feel like progress has stalled. And I think about here, even in Toronto, we talk about Toronto police. We have this misconduct hearing that has taken place, disciplinary hearing that's been taking place with a police officer, senior police officer, Stacey Clark, who was giving Black officers who have traditionally been completely left out of the promotion process, giving them, she felt she was compelled to give them answers because there was just no help there. There was no one trying to help them up. And if you've seen the coverage of this, it's like she's on trial for murder.
No. Mm-hmm.
And so here we are, we're back here again. And it's just, I'm wondering what will have to happen next in order to spark this conversation for real and keep this going.
Well, and you say systemic, because I think that really is where we haven't seen the change in particular. And the family, his family, thank goodness, is continuing this fight, including trying to get this policing act reformed. And you know, that's what this moment of reflection, I think, can really do, is when we do think back and we do kind of hold lawmakers accountable to all of the energy that was given at the time, certainly hoping that this was not performative, because in order for our society to really progress and move forward, we need to see it in black and white. We need to see it in the law books and in the acts that are governing, I mean, we're talking about the states right now, their society. And so far that has not happened. It has stalled from a systemic level. And so I think today, if we can bring more attention, not just culturally to what's going on, but actually to moving these lawmakers forward and really holding them to task, that's gotta happen. And it hasn't happened. And people should know it hasn't happened.
But to that end, I still can't quite believe he got 22 years, considering how the justice system in the States has worked. That was still a very significant moment for me. It should have been way more, but I was not expecting. I remember the conversations on this show. Like I was one of the folks, I'm sure I wasn't alone, watching CNN that afternoon when the verdicts come down, going, wait for this to drop, and then you're gonna see a scene. But that was still, to me, that's the one thing that has held. With that said, shootings involving Black Americans have unbelievably gone up. with police since 2020. And it's to your point, like what is the progress that has actually happened? I remember sitting there like everyone else watching how not just America or Canada, but the globe reacted. I'm watching soccer games in England and watching players of every type of nationality take a knee before games in empty stadiums during the pandemic, but take a knee after this happened. And it is one of the poisons of our news cycle where things just kind of move on. And I mean, it's just the way it is now, but there has not been enough progress. And I think we need to just take a moment here after 4 years and acknowledge many things, including that. And how do we change that? I'm not quite sure. But it is a moment that I think every year this takes place, we need to stop. And we need to remember what society was, did, and what needs to happen going forward. Because it was one of the seminal moments of my lifetime. And I can't speak for everybody, but that's it will never leave my mind for a lot of reasons, and we need to acknowledge it. So again, 4 years ago this weekend, the death of George Floyd, 4 years has gone by pretty quickly. We're gonna take a break. More BT coming up after this.